Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for the CET Japan information session. We are going to give people just one more minute to trickle in, and then we are going to get started. Okay, we're going to get started. Feel free to keep your camera off or turn it on if you prefer. Um, can people just confirm for me that you can see my screen? Give me a thumbs up or something. Great, thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to record this and we will get going. Okay, so I am Kate Maruyama. I'm the assistant director here at CET. I've been with CET since 2009. I've managed our Japan programs for the entire time that I've been here. We started the program in 2010. So um, I've seen CET Japan through all of its iterations. Before I came to Japan, I also studied abroad in Japan myself a couple times and did the JET program in Osaka as well. So I see myself first and foremost as a Japan person. That is my background. My colleague Tony Nelson, the Senior Institutional Relations Manager, will be joining us later in the call as well. And his role is primarily to be a link between CET and all of our various institutional partners here in the US. So quickly about CET, we started in 1982 in China. Those were our first programs. Now, so many decades later, we have 15 different programs in 12 different locations all around the world, of course, in Asia, but also in Europe and Latin America, Middle East as well. We send nearly 2,000 students annually, and we are known first and foremost for our language education, although we do a lot more than just language education as well. What makes us particularly proud is academic excellence. We really take the study part of study abroad very seriously. Supportive staff. We really pride ourselves on making sure that students have quality support both before they get on site and while they're on the program as well. We make a concerted effort to make lots of local connections. You'll see that especially with our roommate program, which we'll talk about later, but also with just the community in general, as well as our local host university partnership. And then social and environmental sustainability is also really important to us. So making sure that our students all feel welcomed and valued, that our local students all feel welcomed and valued and part of that community, that we are being conscious of the kinds of resources that we are using and trying to reduce that footprint as well. So CET Japan in a nutshell, like you heard on the previous slide, we are known for language education. That is also a hallmark of this program as well. So this is a great program to really improve your Japanese language program, to really improve your Japanese language. This is also a great program for making connections with local peers. So we'll talk about this more later too, but really making those connections with the OGU local college students. Osaka is also a great place to be a study abroad student. Osaka people are known for being particularly friendly and gregarious, funny, welcoming. They don't speak as much Japanese in Osaka as other like as another big city like Tokyo. So they're willing to talk to you and they'll talk to you in Japanese. So again, great for a Japanese language student. Um, Osaka is a huge city. It's the second largest metropolitan area after the Tokyo area. So I'm partial, being an Osaka person myself, but Osaka has everything that Tokyo has, but on a more manageable scale. So all of the amazing access to cities, historic and modern. Kyoto is right nearby. Kobe is right nearby. It's all right there. Amazing food. And it's also a much more affordable location than Tokyo as well. Some other program highlights besides obviously the Japanese language element. We have studio arts classes, which are really unique to us. We'll talk about that more later. We also have lots of out-of-class projects in learning, also going to talk about that. And then this program is offered in the fall, spring, and summer terms. You can do just one term, you can do multiple terms. We have students that do stay with us for academic year, and we are on the US academic calendar as well. So curriculum in a nutshell, in the summer, we are Japanese language only. So you're going to be taking approximately 4 hours of Japanese language every day for 8 weeks. We recommend 9 credits for that course, and that has a full-time Japanese language pledge. In the semester, you have more choices. So you can choose between either 6 credits of Japanese or 12 credits. And that is both the textbook component as well as additional projects. I'm going to talk about more of that more in just a second. And then you fill up the rest of your schedule with various electives. So you can take the CET Studio Arts courses, either one or both, and you can take the direct enroll electives at OGU. In the semester, we have a language pledge. You can choose between a full language pledge, which means that you're going to promise to speak Japanese only all the time, or you can do a limited language pledge, which means there's more flexibility in how much you're going to be speaking Japanese versus English. And that's all on you. How much do you want to commit to speaking only Japanese? And the curriculum, obviously, you choose based on your own major interests. Okay, so the Japanese classes themselves. So there's a main textbook component. We use the same textbooks that are used in a lot of US universities. The beginning levels used Genki, and then after that, it is Tobita for the intermediate, for the advanced low, intermediate high levels, and then there are classes beyond that as well. In the 12 credit class, we cover the entire textbook. In the 6 credit class, we are covering half of the textbook. In the summer, we are also covering the entire textbook as well. And then the additional hours are focused on these elements. So Japanese in daily life is how you're going to start the semester, regardless of what class you take. And this is really helping you get the basic Japanese skills that you need to survive in Osaka. So your class will take you out on the train so that you understand how to read the train signs and the train schedules and know where you're going, how to ask for directions. It'll bring you to the kombini or to the grocery store, to other stores, to restaurants, so that you can know how to explain your allergies, know how to read a menu. All sorts of things like that. So it's the practical everyday stuff that you need to survive in Osaka in everyday life. All of the Japanese language courses also have field study course components, which is a way of getting out of the classroom and practicing your Japanese again in a different context, applying the textbook content in a different way. So you can see in this photo here, the top right, the students went to Osaka High School, the high school that is near the OGU campus, to speak with the students there, to learn about Japanese high school life, to share about American high school life, to play some games together, and do that kind of interaction, that kokusai koryu, as they say. You might also do some Japanese traditional activities like ikebana, tea ceremony, shodo, calligraphy, tea ceremony, all sorts of things like that. We had a rakugo workshop once where students got to listen to a rakugo performance and then learn how to do rakugo themselves. You might also go on a site visit to a local company and hear about kind of what they are doing and how they go about what their goals are, how it connects to Japanese traditional culture and contemporary culture. And then all students also complete a language project. So this is where you are going to identify a topic that's of interest to you. You interview local community members about their opinions on it, their ideas on it, how much they know about it. And then you put together a presentation for the local community at the end of the semester. So you can see some of the topics that they did here that students have done in the past. This one, students' awareness of LGBTQ issues, is one of my favorite because this particular student was interviewing students at the local high school about how much they know about LGBTQ issues. And this, at the time, was something that really was not spoken about in Japan. And the instructor, the Japanese high school student, later told us that this ended up being a jumping off point for many students who probably identified with these issues, but had never had the kind of platform to even begin talking about it. So it really felt like a win-win to me, where the student got to really investigate something of interest to them. And it was an opportunity for the local teacher, the local students, to really further a conversation for themselves as well. So the studio arts classes, we've got 2 studio arts classes. The first one is character design, and the second one is manga creation. So both of these we recommend 4 credits for, and these are exclusively for CET students. So there are not going to be any other students from other universities in this class. There aren't other Japanese students in this class. The course content is also created specifically with the US university student in mind, but also still keeping it in line with the Japanese way of approaching the art. So you might find, if you've done studio arts courses in the past, that how these courses are approached is a little bit different. So first one, character design. You're gaining a foundation in the fundamentals of character design and illustration. You're going to be creating the characters, learning about the body, learning about the movement, putting those characters in backgrounds, in Japanese backgrounds, right? So you're in Japan, you're in Osaka, you're going to put them in a Japanese setting, and you're going to put them in Japanese clothing, both traditional clothing, like you can see here in this photo, but also modern Japanese clothing. Now, I said it keeping in line with American way, but also keeping in line with the Japanese way. So in a US class, you might be pounding out lots and lots and lots of different characters. In a Japanese context, you really are refining a lot fewer characters, only 1 or 2, and really working on those throughout the entire semester. So that will be one difference that you know in how this course is approached when we're thinking about it from a Japanese context. And then in manga creation, so character design is an analog course, meaning you're using pen, watercolors. Manga creation is primarily a digital course using an illustration tool called Clip Studio to develop your own manga. So everything from the frame layout, the koma as the very first step, all through story development and to directing manga production. So by the end of this, you'll have a manga, a short manga produced, and you will have skills in using a new technology. So here are some photos just to give you a sense of what this is like. So we got the final products for the character design students here, and then they're in process working on a different piece here midway through the term. Um, because the Japanese way of approaching art is to incrementally make changes, it allows really for a varied abilities in a single class. So that's why this class doesn't have a prereq, and so you can be completely new to art and really starting at level 1, or you could be an art major having done this since you were in diapers and still be able to improve your art. You can see that the class sizes are really small. Classes always start with a short lecture, and then you get to work on your piece, and the instructor is circling the classroom, giving a lot of individualized feedback and instruction for you. So again, it's really tailored to where you are in your own art journey and abilities. Housing is another really cool part of this program. We have everybody in single apartments near campus with an OGU college student. So everybody's in single apartments. You can see here as an example, this is a bunk bed, but the top bunk is used for storage. Right? Rooms are pretty small, so storage is at a premium. All of the setups are kind of different layouts and different neighborhoods. Some have a private bathroom, sometimes it's a shared bathroom, sometimes it's a small in-room kitchenette, sometimes it's a shared kitchen, some have common space like you see here, the top left, and some do not have common space. I said so single rooms near campus. So near is obviously a relative term. In Japan, anything under an hour is considered a good commute, a standard commute. Our average commute time is about 30 minutes. So there are a few that are a little bit farther, but there are also plenty that are closer than 30 minutes as well. So conveniently located. They're in local, typical neighborhoods. This is the residential neighborhoods. They're not college students' neighborhoods. This is where families live, where workers are commuting into the city. And then with OGU students. So in the housing, we have OGU students that have also applied to be on this program and live alongside CET students. We call them roommates. So you're not sharing a room, but you're sharing living space, like the apartment space, the share house space. So we call them roommates. So the OGU roommates apply to be on this program. They're excited to share Japanese culture with you, to share Japanese language with you, to talk to you, to show you Osaka, and it's a great insider access. So you can do lots of stuff with your OGU roommates. They're a great place to show you where the best places to buy souvenirs, art supplies, fun little anime goods, trinkets, anything you wanna bring home. They're a great person to ask. Best places to eat, cheap places to eat. They're great resources. But beyond obviously heading out with the local OGU roommates, there are lots of opportunities through the CET program and the activities that we provide to also experience Japan. So you can see here they're having a pizza party that was maybe done in conjunction with a video game tournament, Mario Kart tournament that they perhaps had. You can see we sponsored an outing here to an art installation. That's these giant egg-like lighting up structures, things that is happening. There's always an overnight trip that all the CET students and the OGU roommates are invited to. And we typically try to take the cohort to somewhere off the beaten path, right? Somewhere that you guys probably wouldn't choose to go to on your own, places that we have a little bit of insider access to, given our own knowledge of the program. So you can see in this picture, we took the group to Totori and the Totori sand dunes. There's also a day trip, maybe go to a part of Kyoto or a temple complex in the southern part of Osaka called Koyasan or somewhere else. Again, all CET students and OG roommates are invited to that. And there are lots of other activities throughout the term. They're typically about 2 per month in the fall term, as much as once a week in the summer term. Everything from visiting a rescue cat cafe to doing a kendo demonstration and everything in between. Lots of opportunities to experience Osaka. So here's an example of what a schedule might look like for a fall or spring student who chose the 12 credit class. They've got Japanese class every single morning. You can see they've got OGU electives in the afternoon. If it was a student choosing studio arts, that's in the evenings. The student did not choose studio arts. You can see that they have time for studying at a coffee shop, going for a jog along the river, which is right near campus, doing a takoyaki party that was probably a sponsored CET activity, going out for okonomiyaki, doing karaoke, all sorts of fun time to get out as well as study. So what's included? This is a pretty all-inclusive program. All tuition and related things are included, including the textbook, if you choose to take the manga creation course, the software for that is included. The housing is included, including the housing with the OGU local roommate. That's part of the fees. Visa support is included. Transcript, medical insurance while you are there, that is also covered. Really thorough staff support each step of the way. Emergency support, lots of activities, and most of the transportation costs related to the program, your commute to and from campus, as well as costs for CET activities. The things that are not included are really your airfare, your food, and then whatever you decide to spend having fun, going out, souvenirs, and your cell phone plan. Do not let funding be a reason that you don't even bother to apply. There are lots of funding sources that you can look into. One thing you should keep in mind is CET scholarships. So we have over $400,000 annually in scholarships, including both needs-based, identity abroad, and academic excellence. So you can apply for CET scholarships. The Fund for Education Abroad, FEA, also has scholarships, and they have specific scholarships for CET students called Access Partner Scholarships. And these are pretty generous scholarships. So if you apply to a CET program, also make sure to apply for FEA so that you can get a shot at one of these scholarships. And then there are also lots of external scholarships as well. Listed a couple of the big ones here for Japan specifically, but also check with your local Japan America Society, check with your study abroad office. There are lots of other options for funding as well. And again, we are here to help at each step of the process. So my role is to be the kind of bridge between what happens here in the US and what happens in Japan. Tony's role is to be the bridge between what happens with CET and what happens at your home university. And then once you apply to the program, the person that you will be spending the most time communicating with is Tara. So she's the person that's going to help you figure out how to complete your application, how to go about the steps with your visa, how to prepare for getting to Japan, answering any of those kinds of questions. And then, of course, once you get on site, there's a whole team there as well. We have a program director, resident director, program coordinator, academic director, assistant academic directors. We've got a really big team to really give you guys all the support that you need at each step of the way. So deadlines, if you are interested in going in spring 2026, which arrives in January, then apply by October 1st. If you're interested in the summer term, that deadline is March 1st, but I recommend applying by the priority deadline, February 1. That program is pretty competitive. We do typically end up having a wait list at some point. We have managed to get everybody off the wait list in the past couple of years, but I would recommend applying early if you're hoping to go in the summer term. And then in the fall term, the deadline is May 1. Also, be sure to check your home institution's deadlines because those are also things to be considering the process there, making sure that you are in line with whatever your own study abroad office is doing. And then just one quote here. I think the program challenges you in all the right ways. While the language and culture felt extremely overwhelming at first, I slowly adjusted to finding my place in Japan and my purpose in being here. It was imperative for me to understand that while I will never experience Japan in the same effortless manner in which I witnessed among my OG roommates, I was challenged to be comfortable with that and gain an appreciation for the expansiveness of this world and how different someone's life may look across the world. So I like this quote a lot because it shows you not only they learned lots of language, they learned lots of culture, but this person also learned a lot about what it means to be a person in today's world. I hope that you can have some amazing adventures in Japan as well. I'd encourage you to check out our website if you'd like to know more. And now I am going to just open it up for Q&A. Oh, Tony, did you have anything that you wanted to add before we do Q&A?
Thanks so much, Kate. I really appreciate when you do this presentation because I do this on campuses. I learn a lot more because of how much more experience you have with the actual program. So I really learned a lot. Thank you so much. One thing I wanted to say is I think you mentioned that in Osaka that fewer people have a fluency in English, and so that makes it a lot more opportune for language learners in that environment. And I just want to say that, similar in my background, when I first went to Costa Rica, that was my first time abroad in Latin America. I was put into a family in a situation I didn't have anybody that spoke English, and I was like at the 201 level. And I was just, whoa, I couldn't escape. I didn't have like a way to get outside of it. And that really increased my language gains a lot. So I wanted to say that I really appreciate that part of the Osaka program is that it's intentional in that way. I also, one thing, I don't know if you mentioned this, I don't think I caught it, but don't we have a fund now where the students can apply to the fund to do activities outside of CET activities?
Yeah.
I wanted to just mention that.
Yeah, we have a cultural reimbursement program. So students, there are given the guidelines at the beginning of the semester, but there are certain kinds of activities or excursions that they can go on that fit their interests, what they want to kind of learn more about, experience, and then you submit for a reimbursement for the costs associated with that or certain costs associated with that. So we had some students, for example, that wanted to go to USJ, Universal Studios Japan, and they could get some of the fees reimbursed through this program because going to an amusement park in Japan is a very different experience than going to an amusement park in the US. So there is actually a lot of learning opportunities just from going to USJ in Japan. Of course, you can go to museums and you can go to temples and things like that too. We had those other students that went to the aquarium with their roommate. And of course, then you're having conversations in Japanese with your roommate about what does it mean to be ethical to marine life. A lot of students went to the movies, right? And going to see your favorite anime movie in Japanese without subtitles for the first time, that takes your learning to a completely
Yeah.
different level too. So yeah, that it really opens up the options and the accessibility to do things how you want to do it in Osaka. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. Does anybody have a question? Please feel free to turn on your cameras. We love to see people's faces that are interested in the program. And just, oh, we got a hand up. Yeah, go ahead, Christopher. Can you unmute yourself? And it looks like you're
Uh,
unmuted, but we can't.
Yes, can you hear
Oh,
me now?
yep.
So I just noticed that for the semester, which semester is the most competitive to apply for?
The summer is the most competitive. The fall, spring is not competitive. I wouldn't
Mm,
worry about not getting accepted as long as you meet the minimum application parameters.
parameters, yeah. And for what we need would what was it? I've just noticed that what we need for this program would it be related to funding?
Tell me more about your question.
The such as everything else, like including tuition and visa, it all be related to funding?
Yeah, so the program fee includes tuition, it includes visa fees, includes your housing fee. It includes all of the CET sponsored activities. Um, so that's just one fee for all of that. And then if you get any external scholarships or CET scholarships, that would go towards that comprehensive fee to, and then the other thing that you would be responsible for is your airfare, your meals, and your fund spending money.
Fund study. How do we get a scholarship?
So CET has scholarships, so you can apply when you start an application. You can also apply to CET scholarships. And then I'd encourage you to look at the Fund for Education Abroad. They have great scholarships. Gilman has good scholarships. Bridging scholarships are also really great. Um, you kind of have to do some digging and the legwork of applying, but they definitely are out there.
Can I request for one?
Yeah. I wanted to just say that the cool thing about CET scholarships is that you apply for those while you're applying for the program at the same time. It doesn't require a secondary application. And I also wanted to encourage all of you because the financial agreements with CET and your universities are very different depending on the university. So you're going to want to check in with your study abroad office and your financial aid office to see what kind of institutional aid might also apply to your program. Some, and I would say most colleges allow your federal financial aid to carry through. And then I would say a good number of universities allow your internal university funds to apply to study abroad. Some do not. So you want to check on that to make sure you have a realistic picture of what your program will cost you.
Yes. And another thing that I need to ask is that would we just while we're in Osaka, would we need to be like the Japanese people?
Um, it's a complicated question, right? Because you're not Japanese, so you will never be able to be fully like the Japanese people, especially if you're only there for, one semester at a time. At the same time, we do encourage you to live according to local norms and expectations as much as possible, right? And so that's part of what things that we go over during orientation and throughout the semester. And it's things as simple as taking off your shoes when you go into your housing, right?
Oh,
Being conscious of your voice level on the trains and in the housing. Um, to more complicated things like how you approach friendships, right? And
oh,
what does it mean to arrange for hanging out with peers versus, casually hanging out with peers. So, um, so yes and no.
right. And Another thing is that do people in Osaka or Tokyo speak more English?
People in Osaka speak less English than in Tokyo. And that's a benefit because you get to learn more Japanese that way, right? They'll actually speak to you in Japanese in Osaka. Some people do speak English, and definitely in more of the touristy areas, they're more likely to speak more English. This program is not located in a touristy area of Osaka, though. So like the local grocery store, the local restaurants, they will not be speaking English.
Oh, so while they aren't speaking English, for the housing, would that mean we have to live in somewhere local, like in a neighborhood?
Yeah, so everybody lives in local neighborhoods. The neighbors probably do not speak English. Um, but you are in apartments with other CET students and with other OGU students. So you are not going to be completely on your own. You know, we very much have a house culture at CET Japan. You do a lot of things with your house, and there are OGU house leaders who are there to kind of support the entire house. So it might be kind of scary to think that you're living in Osaka in a place where they really don't speak much English, but you've got your Japanese classes that are going to give you a lot of resources and skills. You've got the other CET students, you've got the OGU students, and you've got CET staff. So you've got lots of support each step of the way.
What does OGU stand for?
Osaka Gakuin University. That's our partner
Gakuin
university.
University.
Yeah.
Do they only speak Japanese?
No, there are some staff at OGU who speak English. And then the OGU direct enroll electives there are some courses that are offered in English as well. So if you choose to take those classes, obviously those instructors speak English as well.
All
And
right. And does
thanks.
OG, sorry.
We have like 4 other questions from students, Chris. So if you could just hold a second, and if we have time, we can come back to your following questions. But I wanted to make sure we get answers to the other questions as well. I'll come back to you in just a minute after we hear the other questions. Is that okay?
Sure thing.
Okay. We had a question in here, Kate, about sort of the differences between CIEE Japan. And I wanted to see if you're able to talk about the difference between Tokyo and Osaka. This student, Jen, seems like they actually went to both places and enjoyed it. Just wanted to know some differences from our perspective.
Yeah, so I'm not an expert on CIEE, so take all of this with a grain of salt. I think one of the biggest things is the program size. CIEE is significantly bigger than CET is. CET in the summer is our biggest cohort is about 55-ish. In the fall, spring, we're typically between 20 and 40 students. So it's a very small program. We have a lot of staff we have on the ground in Osaka, much more so than a lot of other programs in Japan, which means we're able to give more thorough support to students, whether that is helping them out in finding a clinic when they're having a medical issue, whether that means responding to an emergency, whether that means helping them find a therapist an English speaking therapist when they need to speak with somebody, whether it is meeting for one-on-one meetings to talk over personal goals and kind of how you can accomplish your goals and what we can do to help you accomplish your goals. I think those are some of the significant differences. Tony, what did you have anything else to add to that?
No, I mean, just like the thing that you mentioned in the beginning, just about how there's a lot of internal tourism to Osaka because of the food culture there. I think that's another huge highlight. And one thing I found when I visited Japan a number of years ago, I visited Tokyo, Kyoto, and Hikone, Japan, was that I really appreciated being in Hikone, not one of the bigger cities. And I'm a big city person. I love Mexico City. It's one of my favorite cities in the world. But being in Hikone was a smaller city was actually really nice to see kind of more of what, like, it's sort of like getting a picture of the United States from being in New York City. It's like going to Osaka, I think, gives a lot more ability to see sort of everyday Japanese life in a way that's outside of these humongous, bustling metropolitan areas, but still is relatively close so that you can actually go visit Tokyo and Kyoto. So.
I'd also encourage you to look at the housing models for the different programs as you're kind of trying to decide. There are not many, if any, other programs that have the roommate model that we do, where you're really you are kind of matched, paired with local college students in your living situation. Some programs have exchange students, so American students and other international students in like an international dorm with a couple local college students. That's not what we're doing. It's close to a 1-to-1 ratio of CET students and OGU students. And this is really, we try to make it a win-win for both sides, right? So the OGU students are applying to be on this program with CET because they want to study abroad, but they are nervous about it. Maybe they don't have good enough English skills to study abroad. Maybe they did study abroad, they had an amazing time, they want to keep those international connections. So this is a way for those students to have kind of a mini study abroad experience while in Japan, right? So a lot of programs, if they're not doing kind of a dorm situation, they might do a homestay. Homestays are also really fabulous. I had a homestay when I did my program in Japan. I had a really fantastic experience with my homestay family. Of course, homestays, like any relationship, can be hit or miss. But also remember that entering a home, you are coming in as a guest, right? You will never truly be an insider, even regardless of how good your relationship is with that family. But when you and a peer move into a space together, that then becomes your space and your in-group. And as you know, in-group, out-group is very important in Japan. So that's a really unique way to experience relationships and friendships in Japan, especially at the peer level. So look at the housing model and how intentional that is in their program design too.
One more quick, Jen had a follow-up, and then I have two more questions in the Q&A section here. But just about when you have a roommate, is that 2 beds in 1 room and 1 bathroom?
No. So we say roommate just because at CET we generally do have local students sharing rooms with CET students, not always. In this program particularly, everyone has their own single, and your roommate is in a single across the hall or is in a single next door to you, or something like that. So you might share a bathroom with your roommate. You might share kitchen space or a common space with your roommate. And it's not generally a like, this is my roommate situation. We think of it as the roommates, right? So you might be in a house with 5 other people, including say 2 other CET students and 2 or 3 OGU students. So it's kind of all of you making your community in that housing building together. I hope that gives you a better sense.
Thanks for the question. I have a couple from the Q&A here. One is, how many classes will be able to fit into our schedules? Are the meeting times set up in such a way that it is possible to have them not overlap? I'd like to take the 6-credit Japanese class, both studio art courses, and 1 more liberal arts elective through OGU, but I don't know if that's feasible.
Yeah. So yes, the answer to all your questions is yes. So Japanese classes are always in the morning. So if you are on the 12 credit option, that's going to be 4 days a week. We try to do classes 4 days a week and have 1 day with no classes. So class 4 days a week, probably for 2 or 3 hours. If you're doing the 6 credit option, that is probably going to be twice a week for 3 hours. And then OGU direct enroll electives are in the afternoons, weekday afternoons. English area studies electives are typically twice a week, so like Tuesday and Thursday or Monday and Wednesday. And then the studio arts courses are in the evenings, and they're 2 different days of the week. So yes, it would be possible for you to do 6 credits of Japanese plus both of the studio arts electives, which would bring you up to 10 and then 14 credits. And then one OGU area study class would bring you at 17. And we generally recommend people being between the 14 to 17 credits. You can go as low as 12 though, if you want to, and your university allows you to.
Thanks. I hope that answered your question, Feng. And the next question is from Joshua. As far as classes go for the summer, are electives compulsory or is it set up for just the language intensive class?
So summer is just language intensive. So if you're coming on summer, you really want to learn a ton of language in a really, really short time. So we're covering a year's worth of content in only 8 weeks. So the pace is extremely intensive. There's a lot of class hours. There's a lot of homework. It's very much a study hard, play hard mentality. We do not have any electives in the summer, just the language intensive option.
And then one more here from the Q&A is, how does the Japanese equivalency for placement within the Japanese coursework work?
Great question. So because we use the textbooks that are most commonly used in the US, it's pretty easy for us in general to take a look at your transcript, your study history. Part of your application process is you'll provide a Japanese, a recommendation from a past Japanese professor. You'll explain kind of what textbooks you've used, how many chapters you covered, provide a quick sample, kind of do a self-evaluation. From that, we can gauge your language level pretty easily because again, our classes are really set up with the American college student learning Japanese in mind.
And one more question from the chat here is, do you happen to know when the spring OGU electives will be posted?
Oh, I don't. They used to be really good about posting, pre-COVID, they were really good about posting them about a month or two in advance of the arrival date. It's taken longer for them since COVID ended. So I would expect for the spring term, we would probably not know. I think there's a good chance that we wouldn't know until mid-December.
And that's kind of related to Jen's next question. Do we choose our classes after getting admitted into the program?
Yes and no. So once you're admitted, you will, in the pre-admittance, in the application phase, you will let us know whether you want to take 6 credits or 12 credits, but you're not committed to that at that point. But it helps us to know what to prep for. And then once you're accepted, then you will fill out a course request form, a course preference form. So that's when you'll tell us if you're interested in taking the CET Studio Arts electives, you have the opportunity to switch from 6 to 12 credits or from 12 to 6 credits of Japanese if you want to. Let us know if you're interested in taking OGU courses. And then OGU courses themselves, you won't sign up for those until you get on site. So there's an add drop period for OGU courses as well as there's some flexibility to switch around the studio courses if necessary and if there's space in the courses, of course, as well.
Also, there's another question about the prerequisites for the manga creation course since it's a 300 level class.
Like the character design course, it can be taught to differing levels. So if you come in with a character design background already with other art background and skills, you will be producing kind of to a different degree than an absolute beginning level student. And the course is designed to be able to meet both of those different skill levels.
And from what I understand, Kate, we've actually had a number of students that do the studio arts classes that are starting one, like never had an art class before, and they just do it once they arrive.
Exactly. We've had students in the same class that are both art majors and students who they're just really interested in anime. They've always kind of doodled themselves, but this is their first time taking an actual studio course. And they both get a lot out of it on different levels.
Jen asks, how large are the average class sizes?
For the Japanese courses, in the summer, class sizes are typically around 10 or 12 students. In the fall, spring, it's typically smaller, between 4 to 12 typically. The studio arts electives are between 5 to 13-ish. OGU electives can be, they range anywhere from 7 to 35.
Thanks. And then Ezra has a question. If we wanted to extend for another semester, would that be another application to submit? I can answer that.
Please.
Yeah. So, Ezra, it depends on the relationship between CET and your university, but typically the way that this works is that we consider you a continuer. That's our word for that, is that when you do more than one CET program, you will need to fill out 2 applications, but we're able, I believe, to sort of transfer the basic amount of information that you fill out in your application, transfer that to that continuer app, because our student services team does that for you. So you're still applying for the second program, but you're not having to redo all of the basic information that you've already done for the first one. So if you want to do kind of a paired program where you do, let's say, a spring program and also our summer program in Japan, then you would actually want to start by filling out your spring application and make sure whenever the first email you get from, in this case, from Tara, when you get the first email from the student services person, let them know oh, I'm also wanting to apply for the summer program. And then you'll be considered a continuer and they will let you know what to do to make sure that those applications are consolidated. I think we've hit all the questions. Oh, there's another one in the Q&A. Hold on. So Christopher asked about OGU tuition, a couple of different questions about that. Any OGU classes that you take direct enroll are included in your program fee that you pay to CET. We handle the relationship between you and OGU. You are not an independent direct enrolled student in a traditional sense of you're just a student going to OGU on your own. You are there under the auspices of CET, and so CET uses your program fee to take care of the tuition at OGU. We have about 4 minutes left before the end of this session. If anybody has any last minute questions, you're welcome to unmute, put your video on. I know it's tough. I know it's tough. I don't see any in the chat or the Q&A. So I want to say thank you so much, everybody, for attending. It really means a lot to us to have you here. It's a program that all of us at CET are huge fans of. All of us want to go and do the program ourselves. Kate is a wealth of knowledge. If you have any other questions about this, please feel free to email me. My email was on that last slide, but I'll put it here again. And we will make sure we get the answer to you. It's hard to talk and type my email at the same time.
I hope you all get a chance to go to Japan and study abroad. As somebody who studied Japanese language forever and then got a chance to study abroad, it's so different studying Japanese in the US versus actually going to Japan and studying there, living there, working there. And it's so amazing to see all of these things that you learn in the classroom and actually in conversations with real people that aren't prompted or scripted or anything like that, and actually experiencing and seeing the different minute and huge cultural differences. So it's a real amazing experience. Japan is such a great place to be a study abroad student. I really hope that you all get a chance to go to Japan, hopefully sometime soon.
Okay, thanks everybody. We're gonna stop the recording and end the meeting.
Have a great one. Bye-bye.
Forward to hearing from you.